Once upon a dark night that lasts forever, here comes a man named the Snow Ghost to shine some light in your day. The flame he brings never goes out, the light so bright shines on forever. He brings the true and pure souls to you from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to present to you the world's loudest assistant talk show host, Cha-Cha Connor. And to her left, the snow ghost with the snow most, Bruce Russell.
What are we talking about here today, guys?
All right, great. Mike, do you want to add anything?
No. Oh, no. And I'm Mike Benedetti behind the camera.
Mike Benedetti is behind the camera. I'm Cha-Cha Connor, and this is Bruce Russell. And we've been calling this podcast a number of things. But what it is for me is it's getting together a bunch of the punkest women that I know in Worcester, the women that I find most inspiring for me in my life and my music, and getting them all together in a room and creating a space for women in punk rock music and in music that's punk in other ways other than rock here in Worcester. And that's what we're doing here. And what I thought we could do is we could go around and introduce ourselves. And if it's cool, the way that I would like to do that is I'd like to ask you your name, where you're from, the band you're in, or if you're not in a band that you find really inspirational. I'm not going to say favorite because I hate it when people ask me my favorite band. I'm like, I have 10 million of them, you know. And then how long you'd say you've been into punk, into the scene, going to shows, whatever that means to you, that kind of thing. If you can't remember everything that I just said, just make something up. And I'm gonna start with you, Bruce. What's your name? Where are you from? What band are you in? How long would you say you've been doing this?
What question should I answer first?
Well, it's up to you. Well, probably the name one.
The name of my band is called The Black Death.
Nice.
It's been around. I've been a member of the band for the last 4 years.
Can you say one more thing about your band and then I'll go to the next person?
Well, I can say several things about it.
Cool.
I did a recent demo. It's actually on my website from June of last year. I recorded that with some folks in Boston. They're singing some sound.
Okay.
So I'm Kate, and I'm Worcester born and bred, and I've not been in a band, so I think I'm here to rep the fans and supporters and people for whom punk rock saved our souls. And probably one day in maybe 1983, I was flipping around on the radio stations trying to find something that wasn't disco or, you know, otherwise not. Is there anything wrong with that? And I came across WHCH, and they were playing the Dead Kennedys Holiday in Cambodia, and I have to say that probably saved my sanity throughout my teenage years when I went to a lot of the old Worcester punk shows at the QBCC and the WAG, and then in Boston when I moved to Boston, and I ran away for about 12 years, came back about 10 years ago, and still in Worcester.
Still rocking.
And still, yeah, I hope. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And you know, feel free to share just like that.
Okay. My turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
My name is Yukiko. Currently I'm in the band called the Tokyo Trumps. It's not a punk band. Well, the name sounds like punk band, right? But I'm the only girl in the band, and we play blues, like mostly. But I've been living in Boston for 15, 16 years. I was born in Tokyo, grew up in Tokyo. I was working in Tokyo, but I threw away everything and come to the States. Mm-hmm. And I used to play with some punk pop bands and heavy metal bands. And I'm a bass player and also a singer. So, well, I do everything. And yeah, even if it says blues band, it's not ordinary boring blues band. You know that, right? So
it is not boring. That's for sure. I'm gonna say this on the air. Actually, it's been a long time since I left my job, so I feel safe. Old boss, I totally skipped a shift and lied to you to go see them. Okay. And yeah, if people want to see what you play, if people want to say what you play on this, that's something I forgot, and that's totally cool too. I'm going to go over here.
I'm Joanne Hart. I was born in New York State, bred in Iowa. No, bred in New York State.
Born in Iowa.
Some of us were never bred.
I was brought up in Iowa, and I came to Massachusetts in 1984. And I've been here ever since. And I feel like a fake sitting here. I don't know why. I'm not crying. I'm not crying, I promise. I have a really nice friend, and
At least I don't feel alone, so.
You know, okay, yeah. So I have a really nice friend who's in this group. I'll let you guess later. Who just said we should have a band, and why don't we have a band with our sons? And it was probably the biggest deal in my life, other than like having children. And she's like led us and written songs and been super, super patient with me, and I realized, oh, I can do stuff. You can't swear on the radio. Can you swear on the podcast?
You have to say it twice, so it gets through.
I was like, I just, you know, I've always known I could do shit, but like this is an opportunity that made me see, oh, I can do shit. I can do anything. You know? And so I also play by myself, and I'm getting a lot less nervous than I used to be, and so I've been doing a lot of open mics lately, and just realizing that I really want to scream and yell and holler more than I thought. And so a couple friends of mine and I are trying to get another band going, which we're not sure what the name's going to be. Should we keep that a secret?
Can you throw out a possible title?
Well, we keep thinking Cougars because two of us are slightly, you know, on the top of the other edge of the hill. But the third one is like, you know, our saving grace. So that's all. I play guitar and I sing beautifully.
Like an angel.
Oh yeah,
Like a Joe Angel.
Hey, I got a perfect name for you, band.
yeah.
How about the Worcester Wannabes?
The Worcester Wannabes.
Worcester
All right.
Wannabes.
I certainly feel like a Worcester wannabe sometime. Annie Paquette, how do you feel about that and other stuff in general? Who are you? What do you play?
I'm
What do you
Annie
do?
Paquette. I play a bunch of things, but most of the time I play the bass guitar.
Who do you play for?
I don't know really. Well, I'm getting there. I don't know for. So I've been in a band with my brother Dave in several incarnations since I was like 11. That was when I played my first show, which was at a bar, and it was really weird because a 16-year-old boy didn't think I was 11. He tried to make out with me, and then he found out I was 11 and wouldn't talk to me anymore. But he spent like 4 hours.
Was that like a sad thing or a good thing, him not talking to you anymore?
Well, like there wasn't many people in Webster. I'm from Webster. There's not many people. There's mostly just like juggalos, and it was like really exciting, like juggalos. And he was in another band, but whatever.
So what are some of the groups that you're playing with now?
So kinda, I guess, where I'm in this band called Dead Mom the Dog with my brother.
All right.
It's like this kind of concept thing where we pretend we're dogs, and we write songs that are laments for our mother, that is the dog that got killed by the skeleton who plays basketball.
Who's feeling inspired right now? Okay, I am. All right.
We have a comic book and that does it. But me and these two started this cool super group.
Yeah.
All right.
With our friends Matt and Matt.
Cool.
And that we're working on getting enough material to play our first show.
That's
What's that
awesome.
band called?
Well, I think it's going to be all the frabs or the barfs.
I like that.
And with that, I'm going to turn to Mariah. Who are you and what are you doing?
So, I'm Mariah. I play guitar in the band Bloody Swimsuit. Lars and I guess, started the band when I I've been playing guitar since I was 11, and me and Lars started the band when I was 14. And now Lars and I are in this cool band with Dave, who's also in Annie's band, who's my brother. Annie's brother,
Who's my friend?
my boyfriend, and
Kelley's roommate?
Sure. Mine too. And mine. And and I guess I've been going to shows and playing music since I was like 12, and just kind of happened really fast. And now I'm 19 and playing a band I love, and just starting this new band with these two lovely ladies. And I don't know. That's all. Oh yeah, and I originally am from Upton, Mass. Now living in Worcester.
All right.
Cool. I'm Kelley, Parsons. And I'm from New Hampshire originally, so I don't know what that means for you guys. It's boring. So punk was really important to me. I didn't get into punk until I left New Hampshire because there's not a big scene out there. So up until that point, I was probably listening to mostly ABBA and the Cranberries, which I really...
The Cranberries are awesome.
I know. They're so good. So that was a really big influence. And then, when I left New Hampshire, I got super depressed and I needed punk music to really get me angry about things.
Did you come to Worcester direct from New Hampshire?
No, I went to UMass Amherst and I went to Boston and actually lived at this house. This punk
So it
house.
took you a while to figure out where the cool city was.
Yeah. Well, I kind of
You
knew
just
that.
passed, you should have said in Boston.
No, I don't know. I lived in Boston for a while, but then I made friends with a bunch of people at the Go-Go, which is this other punk house in Worcester.
And how did
And I
it
knew
go?
immediately. What?
And I said, how did it go? And when did it go?
And I knew immediately that
Sounds
this
like
was
dry
a
humor.
place. I knew Worcester was a place to be.
What are you doing now, Kelley?
What do I do now? Oh, so I play guitar.
Right.
I try to play guitar and sing at the same time, which is tricky for me, but I do it. And in this band called Blister Pack.
I actually opened up for your band back in December.
Yes, you did.
December 1st, 2006.
See?
It was a monumental
With
moment.
Jacob
It was.
and
Your picture's in the art museum.
My picture is hanging in our museum. Thank you for reminding me.
And with that reminder, I'm going to go to Toni.
I'm Toni Ostrow. I grew up in Worcester, up near the airport, and years and years, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm the matriarch in the room, actually. But years and years and years ago, I was...
Can we just up the matriarchs for a second here? I'm sorry, I'm going to completely interrupt you, which is like a host privilege, and say that like one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is because like, I'm 25, right? And like I consider myself kind of a newcomer, and I really wanted to learn from people who have been in like the music scene. He says I'm over the hill, which I consider a compliment. I'm over Mount Wachusett, but like, but I really wanted to learn from people. You can see a lot up there, but I wanted to learn a lot from people who have been in the scene a lot longer. So I'm really glad you're here, Toni, and I'm all about
I'm really
the
glad I'm
matriarchs.
here, too.
I am worth the climb.
It was worth it.
What do you do, Toni?
Well, I was in this punk rock band called Killdozer, and then we changed our name and we were Sharpie's Machine. And then I did play music for years because I had kids, and I just, like, my bass was in the corner and I just didn't touch it. And then about 5 years ago, I started playing again with Mystery Band in Worcester, which is this great thing, and it started getting me back into music. And now I'm playing in a couple of bands. I'm in a band with Joanne with our kids called Opposites Day. And I love this part! It's like saving my life because I work this 9-to-5 job, and it's kind of corporate. Well, it's like a family business actually, but it's just a lot of work. And then I get to like play really loud punk rock music at night, and it's like great, and it's really like my therapy kind of. Mm-hmm. And so that's really good. I'm in this other band called Sons of Hiram, and we're playing next Friday at Gilrain's. Cool. Kind of like a country folk rock, good for dancing band.
It's just therapy for everything cool there, huh?
Say that again?
I said it's therapy for everything cool there, right?
Yeah.
I need therapy after cool things happen to me. What do you think, Lauren?
Is it true you went on tour with Sonic Youth?
I like them too.
We not on tour with them, but we did open for them. Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, did people hear that? Toni opened for Sonic Youth. All right. That's all I'm hearing in Worcester.
She opened for Sonic Youth too.
Really? Wait, she opened for who?
The Ramones.
The Ramones. Sorry.
Sharpie's Machine, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you may be the main character, but you're wicked inspiring.
Killdozer 80s?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the Madison, Wisconsin Killdozer, but the New York Killdozer.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, I can play some stuff that I still good to listen to.
All right, these introductions are wicked long, and I'm going to keep them going. I love them, by the way.
Alright, I'm Lauren, and I play in the band The Clozapines. I just sort of started playing the bass this year, but I've been playing guitar since I was probably 14. I've been into like lots of music, not just punk, since I was really young, because I've been moved around a lot. My family lived in England for a month, like Florida. We just moved to Massachusetts when I was maybe 13. I went to boarding school, so I sort of like needed music to keep me going, because it was like the only thing that I knew pretty much. But I definitely have, my eyes have been open to a lot of new music out in Worcester, because I go to school here now. So
how long have you been in Worcester?
Well, I live in Birmingham, but I've been in school in Worcester probably at Worcester State. So lovely, darling Erin.
And is that where you guys met?
No, actually we met when
high
we were
school
at a party once, and then 5 years later she messaged me. She was like, "Hey, I met you at a party when we were like 16," and I was like, "Yeah, and you made out with my best friend." And you were looking cool, and you were in my friend's band, and I was in another band, and like, yeah. And then she was like, "And I'm going to Worcester State. I think you're in my class." And I was like, "Whoa!"
And actually, the funny thing is, I went to school in New Hampshire, and I got kicked out for selling pot. So then I had to like finish my 5th and a half super senior year here, and I was so lucky that Erin went there. We've had like the most fun in this band, so. That was
Erin, you and Lauren are both in the Clozapines, right?
We are.
And is that the first band you've been in, or
Me?
Yeah.
Oh no. I've been in and out of bands since I was like 15.
Wow.
I've been playing in bands since high school, but I'm not gonna lie. Like from my senior year of high school to like January of this year, I was like on total hiatus. Like I was just jamming out with people, but I wasn't seriously playing music. And then like one day Lauren was like, "Yeah, we should like really start a band." And like one day we were just like at her house, and this was like the first time I've ever been there, and we were just playing, and we like clicked like this like in seconds, and we were like, "Oh, this needs to happen." And like then she introduced me to her friend Paul, and then we just formed the Clozapines, and we all kind of clicked, and it was just, and I was just like so happy, because I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't been in like a real band in 5 years," and like I haven't even been in bands in high school I used to play with. We played like a few gigs here and there, like at high school shows and at the QVCC like once or twice, but like this is like the first time I've ever been in a band where it's like, "Oh, we're playing the Vernon, oh, we're playing this place." And
you guys even have pins, right?
We do.
Yeah, we do have pins. I think they're still in my purse.
I'm getting some new, better ones, and I made like this like prototype. You can't even read the writing, but
we know what it says.
Yeah, everyone that knows us knows what it says.
So how long has the Clozapines been together?
Since January of 2010, so we're like brandy new.
We're right on.
Awesome. I'm gonna go to Cathy Ka.
That's me. I'm Cathy Ka from Muscle Ka. I moved to Worcester in '76. I lived in Worcester for 26 years. I'm living in Sterling now. I grew up in Milford. I picked up the bass at that evil age of 14, which seems to be a running theme here. And had kids and all that stuff, and somehow managed to, I kept playing pretty much the whole time. Was in a bunch of bands. I was into the Worcester scene at the beginning of the punk scene at the late 70s. And I don't know, is that, I think that kind of covers it. I was in a bunch of bands. I guess I've been in, the first bands I was in Worcester was Blue Moon. I was in Creatures of Habit. I was in a band called Free Radicals. I was in the Ballbusters for a while. I was in a band called Dead Elvis, where I played Nurse Johnson. And
this is awesome.
Now I'm in actually my favorite band of the bunch, which is Muscle Ka. I have a great time. It's real physical. They started out Muscle Ka 8 years ago. I joined. I've been in the band for 8 years. started out more punk than it is now. It's more sort of heavy rock now with a punk edge to it. But I like it. It's really physical, and it's my most fun band I've ever been in.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Cathy.
I'm Lysie. I played bass in the Numbskulls. I've only played bass for 10 years.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm not a public speaker.
It's just us.
I don't know. Numbskulls is the only band I've played in. I don't listen to just punk. I don't really like real punk music. I don't know. I like all kinds of music. So I mean, I don't know. I think I'm with Cathy, where when we first started, I think we were trying really hard to be a certain way. So.
And how long ago did you start?
10 years ago.
Okay, wow.
And that's as long as I've been playing. So now I'm excited because I feel like I got my second wind. Now I'm starting to like really write bass lines that I want to fucking write. And I'm starting to sing too. I'm trying, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like we're starting over. I feel like 10 years is what it took me to get to this point, and like I'm still a hack. So
It's a point of awesomeness.
I'm always trying to get better, so that's my story.
That's really cool. Well, thanks for introducing yourselves, guys. Those were like long introductions, but I feel like I learned a lot. And I guess just so folks know why I'm here. So I'm in Mac the Knife. That's like the only band that I'm in that I can even like plausibly claim to be like angled into like punk culture. We had this like really weird thing happen to us. We're a ska band, okay, with like a punk edge, right? And we got nominated for like best punk act in the Pulse, which I think the Numbskulls won, right? Which is awesome. So like for us, it was like losing to the Numbskulls was like the best experience ever. We were like, they won, they're awesome. But it was like really weird because we're a ska band. So that's why I'm here, and I've been playing with them for less than a year, and I was super intimidated when I started. They were interviewing somebody who could actually rap before they interviewed me. So I was super intimidated, but they went with me, and it was really cool. So that's why I'm here. And I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw something out there, and you guys can talk on it, you can riff on it, you can do whatever you want to it. What I wanted to throw out there was... like I guess we're taking like a broad view of punk, right? Like I certainly I consider myself part of a band. We're not a straight punk band, but we're very influenced by punk, right? So I guess I'm wondering what punk means to folks and what your experience playing music means to you. And were you encouraged and discouraged? And people can talk about that in a lot of different ways. One thing I wanted to call attention to is that we are all women here. And so I'm also kind of trying to get at what the experience of playing as a woman in Worcester has been to you, and how that all has been. So yeah, don't all talk at once.
I'm gonna start, if that's okay. My first time that I ever remember wanting to play, I was a little kid, and this is going to really date me, but it was watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and from that time I wanted to play drums, like really badly. And I told my grandmother that I really wanted to play drums, and I was kind of told, they looked at me like kind of strange, and they said, well, you know, everybody knows that. He says, honey, girls don't play drums. Maybe you want to play piano, or maybe you want to play this or that, you know. And so that was one experience. And then moving to Worcester and playing in the clubs in Worcester, I can remember walking into a club once and hearing people say, this is in the end of the 70s, say, oh, this band can't be very good. They got a, you know, chick bass player, and come on, you know, she's not going to be able to play and stuff like that. And it made me like so energized just hearing that, you know what I mean? But those were some experiences, and I find it's changed quite a bit today. It's not an unusual thing anymore. It's really accepted. And I mean, certainly since the 60s, times have changed, you know, by leaps and bounds, you know. And it's so nice to see people get up and really play and really go balls out and really have a great time with it, you know. That was some of my experiences anyway.
That's
of
cool.
that.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Come on, what does rocking out mean to you?
Yeah.
Why do you do this?
Can I? I'll just talk. I feel like I'm slight. Well, you know, narcissistic me. I'm slight anomaly because I grew up in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere, listening to like the Outlaws and all these like country rock bands and stuff. And then during the 80s, I was married to
a composer who did like a lot of like new music, like 12-tone. We'd go into like Cambridge to like the Laundry School of Music and hear all this absolutely insane, what my brother from Illinois used to call movie music, like, and I totally could not believe that anyone was making music like this, and I lost my mind. And we would go into, you know, like Jordan Hall and hear like famous composers play these crazy pieces. I didn't know what punk was. That was, I mean, I was 1983 when, 84 when I moved here, I was almost 22. And I'd never heard a punk song in my life. And then that went through, and I was playing guitar, like folk guitar, and I was slowly getting incredibly bored. And then things changed, let's say, and I ended up in Worcester, and like a few years ago, I ended up really like coming in sort of drastically because of a list to this whole crowd of people. I was coming up for air, nursed babies for 9 years, was done nursing, realized, oh, music, live, yeah, I remember now. You know, I used to go to concerts, you know, the Iowa Jam, you know, and like I always was going to concerts. So, but then I noticed there were all these people, and they were a lot younger than me. Some of them, at least the people who were actually playing. And there's a lot of like more intimate venues, you know, less public venues that I just saw these people totally giving themselves over, not just to the music, but to the people watching the music. And it was so symbiotic. It was so like a unit. There was like a unity thing going on that I had never experienced that kind of reminded me of being in the audience of people who, like, what crazy person would accidentally go to hear like Oliver Messiaen's, you know, Quartet for the End of Time, like, or, you know, something really insane that you can hardly sit through if you've never heard it. So it's like people were deliberately there, purposefully there. A lot of them were in bands too. And I discovered punk then, you know, sort of, you know, my husband was really into punk, and so I had been listening to some music, but in the flesh, in action, community. It's not all mean. I always thought punk was kind of mean, and like, you know, and you're just like, but it's not. It's about just being in your bones, being like who you are, not pretending, no pretense. No, like, I'm not trying to fill the shoes of whoever I think needs to see me in a certain way, like image control. And I don't know, that's really all. I've been so happy since then. Like, so to me, you know, my punk experience has been like kind of all of a sudden out of the blue, really raw. And I'm so happy to be a part of it because I feel like I'm part of something larger than just the music. And I'm so excited to meet a lot of women I've never met before because I'm just going to go on just for a second more. I was so excited. I've been thinking for days about your get-together here. And one of my big, like, obsessions is trying to comprehend the disparate groups of artists and creative people and musicians in Worcester, and trying to understand the scenes where they come together or where they're not together. And not like everyone needs to know each other intimately or we all have to like each other's music, but just like we're all like kind of out trying to do the same thing, and we're trying to, like, you know, be groovy, feel groovy, give groovy, like give it, you know. And I'm just like so excited that I get to be here and meet people.
I have a question actually for you.
Pardon me?
I actually have a question for you. Did you actually find music kind of like set you free from everyday humdrum life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what I would do. You know, my kids bought me guitar strings like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, because I hadn't played the guitar for like 6 years. You know, I have an almost 13-year-old, so like almost from the time I got pregnant. And I just think it's the best, most significant gift that they gave me was to get back to my music so that I can just be a regular person and not an insane asylum, a walking insane asylum. That's amazing.
Right. It's just for that few minutes of going into the trance. And actually for me it was like the Ramones were my first introduction into punk and stuff. And that I was like, hallelujah, you know, actually, because like we were struggling through the disco era, trying to find something to cover. Thank you. Trying to find something, you know, coverable. We did things.
Sorry,
like,
I just need to interrupt. You know, now whatever. Feeling like, as a 25-year-old, I've had it really easy. Sorry, I just said struggling through the disco era. Oh my god.
Everybody, the grass is always greener, you know, whatever grass you got.
We have the Backstreet Boys.
Boys. That wasn't easy.
Yeah, we're from the Backstreet Boy NSYNC Britney Spears generation. What about us? You know,
right? Everybody's got their hurdles, you know. But it was like, you know, just trying to find then it was only like cover bands, and trying to find stuff to cover was like what we did. We found the MC5, we found Alice Cooper, we even did Kiss, we did other stuff like that.
Wow,
they're fun songs.
Yeah.
You know,
Kiss was what
but it was stuff like that.
Wow.
So I mean, you know, it was anything. It was hard to find stuff. Everything on the radio was like, now thou shalt listen to disco, and it was like there was nothing else, you know. So
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I think this is like all
just the funnest thing ever. Like, I don't know, one of my favorite things to do. I mean, this is gonna make me sound young too, but I think the first album I ever bought was No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom. Okay, when I was 8, with my allowance money.
Went to the concert when I was 13.
Yeah, I never had the privilege to see them in concert yet, but anyway, but like I was just like, that was like, I wanted to be like, and it was like 96, 97, I wanted to be Gwen. I was like, that's what I'm gonna be when I grow up, and like, you know, so, and I never did like formal lessons in singing or whatever. I took guitar lessons for a while, and that was fun, and like I was even in a band with my boyfriend at the time, and the boyfriend that I'm with now. I mean, he was in my band in high school. He doesn't play anymore, but anyway.
He tried yesterday.
But we were all just way too
You gotta
strong.
keep encouraging him.
So it was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, so it's being in a band is like one of the funnest things ever. It's a great time, and you let out like so much aggression that you probably wouldn't have let out in any other positive way anyways, unless it was like, I do art too, but you know, ever since I started becoming like a full-time college student, that's kind of gone down the hill. Like, me and Lauren are both science majors at Worcester State. All we pretty much do is homework and band. So it's like, it's a good balance.
I love watching you guys post about your homework on Facebook. Like, I'm
we did a chemistry homework too.
You know, yeah, we're gonna talk about Facebook for a second on the air. Like, I watch them like post all this like biochemical stuff. It's really interesting. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I read you guys' homework when it's online. That's
I have some bad jokes about chem and bio. I'm such a nerd.
Yes. We should tell your boyfriend that plugging into a Marshall stack, it's like plugging when you first play that first old power chord, like plugging into the devil. It's like when you watch the Spinal Tap, you plug into a Les Paul into a Marshall stack. I mean, that's the greatest feeling, like plugging into like a bunch of bolt of electricity going through the air.
Yeah.
Walk away from it.
You know, that electricity thing, it's really interesting. It's like, it's interesting for me to hear about people like taking kind of like direct avenues to like punk or like punk-ass culture. Like, I played this show and these people came, or like I listened to this music and like I totally got into it. I always feel weird. Like, my avenue to punk was politics. You know, like when I was like 17, like feeling really, really screwed up about the way the world was, and feeling like, am I effing nuts? You know, like just like wondering, and then like meeting all these like, you know, anarchists, you know, is what they were, like, who were totally dedicated to a world with, you know, freedom, with liberty, with the ability of like everybody to live to their full potential, and who were willing to take action about it. And so it's like, first, like, meeting these people and doing activism with them and being like, oh, it's not just that I'm crazy, like, the world is pretty crazy, you know? And then, like, listening to the music that they listened to, like, really brought me into it and, like, made me want to learn music. So, like, Joanne, I totally hear you about, like, coming at it at a different angle, you know? I think, like, that's one of the reasons that I'm so interested in everybody here. We might not all, I don't know, like, if you wrote the definition of what punk rock looks like on a music staff or whatever, we might not all fit it. I definitely wouldn't, but like everybody here is like really punk to me and like represents a piece of what that
just means doing
is.
Whatever you want to do and having a good time. Like, honestly, it's so weird because like I remember seeing Mac the Knife way before I even met you at like the Raven, and I was like, they're awesome. I saw Bloody Swimsuit at the Raven and at Distant Castle. You guys are from Distant Castle, I'm assuming. Okay, yeah, I went there a bunch of times for punk shows. I saw these guys play, and like even before I even saw the Numbskulls play, I had their CD like from my school's radio station, and I was like, how could, like, these guys are from Worcester, this is awesome. Like, it's just a really fun time and a good time to just go to shows too, even not just playing them. And now the fact that I'm playing shows again, it's like, it's even more fun because you just socialize, drink, have a good time, play music, and
it like gives you an opportunity to see a lot of different bands that you might not necessarily see. Like, I mean, I guess it's a kind of bad example, but I've never seen an Aussie cover band before. We get to play with the most obscure bands in the world. But we played with this Aussie cover band in Malden, because my boyfriend is in Skullhammer, and they needed another band randomly to play in Malden. It was a bitch of a trip to Malden because it's
We almost
off in
died.
the middle of nowhere. And we got to see an Aussie cover band, and I've never seen an Aussie cover band before. And if I weren't in a band, I never would have actually chosen to see an Aussie cover band. But it was definitely an experience.
Kate, do you want to throw something out?
Yeah, I think coming from the standpoint of somebody whose musical talent is limited to classical piano, and that doesn't really translate so well on stage. Yeah, well, you know, when I was 17, 18, got kicked out of my house, I couldn't take the giant upright piano with me, so it kind of didn't translate. And I think it's very much about the sense of community and the sense of like getting out there and seeing music that's visceral and that speaks to you. And it doesn't matter whether it's punk in the classic sense or not. Like I said, I mean, I started by finding the Dead Kennedys and Billy Bragg on the radio, and that was about politics and translated into not just punk rock, but also music like the Smiths and the Cure that spoke to me because of feeling alienated and feeling angry and feeling like a freak and feeling like a misfit. And it took a couple of years before I found people that were simpatico and that knew not just about the music, but about feeling like an outlaw, feeling like a misfit, or feeling like a freak. And that's what it did to me, was going to the shows and feeling, and being in the audience. And even when the crazy skinheads used my back as a springboard for the stage, you know.
Skinhead did this to me at the business show, if anybody's wondering what that is.
I always feel like if you didn't come out bruised, it wasn't really a good show.
So I want to take a second to reflect on that, like maybe especially from some folks who haven't talked yet, because we want to know what you are. Like that whole concept of like feeling like an outlaw, right? So if folks who haven't talked yet could reflect on that concept, reflect on what you get out of shows and what you get out of connecting to an audience. And also I want to throw this out here. You know, I want to know, has your family, your community, your culture, however you define that, encouraged what you do, discouraged what you do, and how has that helped shape your music and who you are?
Well, can I go back to the disco era? When I started playing bass guitar, I was in junior high, and I was in a band who covers the Kiss and the Beastie Rollers.
Beastie Rollers.
Yeah,
Beastie
Rollers.
That was it.
And well, when I told my mother that I want to play bass guitar, they were like freaked out. And I was in Tokyo, so we had a radio station called FEN, Far East Network, for the American military people in Tokyo area. So I've been listening lots of American top 40 music, or the King Biscuit Flower Hours, or that kind of stuff. And I started playing bass. And I still remember, and I don't know if you guys categorize them in a punk rock or not, but Suzy Quattro.
Oh, yes.
And the Runaways.
That was a good
They had a pretty big influence on me. You know, so,
me too.
You know, especially in Japan, the culture is different. You know, more girls should be stay at home, and you know, do this, do that. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't go that, you know, that kind of things. So I learned about them, and then, well, you can do whatever you want to do. You know, that kind of idea. So I was so glad to know that kind of music when I was in junior high school. And well, in Japan, people have to study a lot to, you know, get in a better college and better company to build a better life. But not everybody can do it. And but I graduated from some nice college, and I was working as an editor in some Japanese company. But at some moment, I thought about, you know, is this what I wanted to do for my whole life? No. So I came to the States.
So you quit. So you quit your job and left the country in order to pursue what you wanted. So that's awesome. Like ovaries, people. Ovaries? Yeah. I'm not gonna say balls. Okay, it's kind of it's cojones. It's cojones.
Yeah.
You know?
As a woman and as a musician, and released from all the, you know, the strings or whatever you call it, you know, playing music is you know, my life.
Was the Tokyo Tramps the first band you hooked up with here?
Well, like like 5-7 years ago, we played the Swallows in Worcester area, Boston area, so many places. And like a Night Storm, Troll, that kind of heavy metal band. Yeah, play with the Aussie cover bands. Yeah, I played with so many bands. But the Tokyo Trump started 10 years ago. And it's been a struggle. Japanese people playing American music, but who cares?
Yeah. How do you feel like you're received?
Very good, very good. As a woman and as an Asian musician playing American music.
That's what's up.
That's the important thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll come see you.
Okay.
You should come see them. Like I said, totally skipped work, totally lied about it in order to come see them. And anybody else, reflections on, your family, your culture, your community, whatever that means?
I just have a story to tell. My parents have always been really supportive of my music, and my mom would like wear the T-shirt,
Wow.
for pajamas kind of thing. And I remember it was so cute. And in the early, and it was pretty loud, raucous music, and they're like into classical and stuff. So, but they were always like very supportive. And in the early '80s, we did this little mini tour of the East Coast. We played at WCW, and then we went into Boston, played at the Channel Club. We were with the Reagan Youth, and
nice.
So so we get into Worcester, we go right to the radio station, we do that show, and then I'm like, well, we're all going to sleep at my parents' house. My parents didn't realize there were going to be like 2 bands plus like all the girlfriends, boyfriends. So we got in really late. It was like 2 a.m, and so my parents are asleep, and the next morning, my mom's like cracking eggs and like, making scrambled eggs, and my dad's like just shaking hands, and then another door will open and like, another person will come out. And the crazy hair and all this stuff. They're like, I'm John Ostrow, nice to meet you. So it was just like, they were just very sweet and supportive. So
That's
I was pretty
cool.
lucky. Yeah.
That's a great story to hear. Anybody else?
Go ahead. That's the experience I've had. Is like my parents and my immediate family has always been super supportive. I guess since when I was in high school, didn't really have support because I just wasn't really friends with anyone in my town or anything like that. And then I found Lars, and he was like someone who was also supportive, and being like I guess a girl in a band, like you get a good feedback, and I think it's kind of like a double-edged sword where you're excited because people are excited about you being a woman, but at the same time you're pissed off because you're like, why does it matter if I'm a woman? And like the comment that I always get is like, I play guitar and I sing, and like I'd like to think that I'm a skilled guitar player, and people say,
you're good for a girl.
People say, wow, you can actually play.
When I was 16,
I can actually play. Like, I don't know if that's a compliment.
You have the same number of fingers.
Can I add a story onto that? So when I was 16, we played, like, it was the first time I ever played a battle of the bands. And of course, we were alright. I mean, and the best band won, and it was funny because, so weeks later, I'm going to take my driver's test, and this girl recognizes me. She goes, oh, you were the girl in that band that played at the St. Peter Marian Battle of the Bands. And I'm like, yeah. And she was just like, you guys should have won. And I was like, oh, thanks. Why do you say that? And she was just like, because, you were the only band that had a girl in it, and you were singing and having a blast. I'm like, oh, so because of the fact of what I have downstairs determines what you win. And I just got furious at that girl. And then she started making fun of my friends, and I was like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's always I never know really how to react. You just smile. And
Just say thank
I
you.
guess. But in your head you're like,
well, it is. It's funny that it's still after years of things getting better, that it's still. I think it is still an anomaly to have girls. It's still like it's more common to have like one girl in the band.
Right.
But like when it's like an all-girl band, people are like, oh my god.
That'll be like a selling point for like shows. Yeah, like, there's a band that's gonna play. It's all girls.
It's still a novelty, and it is. That's one reason that I really responded well.
I was at somebody's house, and our drummer's name is Paul, by the way, if this makes any sense, but
he works at the Sahara, makes a really good drink.
Awesome guy. But anyway, one of our friends, I went over to their house, and he was like, oh, you're in that band, Polly and the Tits. And I was just like,
so it's like an inside joke between all of us
hilarious, but like, I don't know who says that.
Yeah.
And I'm a really like shy, reserved person, so I was just like, what did you just say?
Can we take that down? And like, I totally want to let Kelley finish. Can we take that down to the Worcester level? And then I'm going to take it up to the level of touring, you know. You know, but in the Worcester scene, I want to hear about how it is as women. You know, like one thing I can reflect on for me is, you know, the last show that Mac the Knife played was at Ralph's, right? And it was just a funny, most basic thing, but like I don't dress in a certain style for my shows, right? So that weekend I was like feeling really like this like red glitter dress. Okay, look, I like Lady Gaga, okay? I'm not the only one who wants to fuck me up for that, okay? Whatever I do. You know, so I really wanted to like do my hair and like wear the dress. Well, I got to the show, right? And like the crowd, I don't know why, just like felt different for me. And honestly, the first thing that went through my head was, fuck, I shouldn't have worn this dress. People are gonna think we suck. And like, it's just, you know, and they didn't, like they liked us, right? But it's interesting that like, that's what went through my head still in this day and age, like, whoa, am I safe? Like in this dress, like not that I'm worried about getting assaulted, but like a little worried about like, about respect. Yeah, really. So I don't know. So, and it was funny. Like, I think it went off really well, but I really relate to that double-edged sword comment, you know? And so I'm wondering like how is it as a woman musician or as a fan being in that scene in Worcester? And what are like, you know, not to be simplistic about it, but maybe some of the bad things and also maybe some of the good things, like some of the advantages that we have as women, you know?
I got a question.
Yeah, free drinks at the bar.
Thanks,
It's like if you go to a show, it's like if you don't have a shirt on or something like that, you go into a show, you're not dressed a certain way, you know, it's like, are you really a person who loves this music? Whatever, because you're not like showing it, like you act like you're in a band or you're like in this kind of music. All this stuff goes like through people's minds. It's like, I mean, I see people walking down the street all day long, and I mean, I should say, see people go to a show, but half of them will wear shirts and some don't. So you really never know.
Right, getting to that place of like fitting in, or not, you know. So
that's why people go to shows to fit in. Because we build it. Because everybody who's in the bands who loves music, it's all this like big. A big gang, because certainly the world's against it, everybody. They're certainly against the people who love music and play it for a living, like myself and whatever. So
right. So maybe commenting on that, like, you know, creating community versus like needing to fit into community too. Like I hear
you want somebody that you call yourself your own because you live in a house that your mother and father pay taxes, they get you through school, college, whatever, and you share a room or share a house or whatever. You want something to call your own. That's why people get into music, start playing for a living or whatever, because they want something they can literally call their own.
I got it. So yeah, reflecting on that. All right, who wants to talk? Yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, I think one of the reasons that I, wanted to be in Worcester was that, at least in this social circle, kind of the same one that Joanne stumbled upon. I stumbled upon it as well, and it was the kind, like, honestly, like when I go to a show, like I'm there to hear the music, but more so I'm there to like experience that sense of community, that whatever that animalistic, like, whatever that is, you go there for that. And Worcester, at least the people that I hang out with, unlike in Boston and a lot of other places, women are up front dancing. And that's kind of rare. Like, you can go to other cities and that doesn't happen. There's,
standing in the back.
Standing in the back, taking the pictures, and like, it's really...
Yeah, they wish they were out there. They wish they were up there, but
they're afraid, or they're like, the stupid hardcore kids are trying to kick each other in the face, and the girls are like, I'm not that stupid.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that way. They shouldn't be like isolated.
I also think how people are miserable at punk shows now. Like, I don't know if you've noticed in Worcester, but sometimes people at shows, they're just like, ugh, and I'm like, no, dance, you assholes! Like, stop being jerks. Just have a good time.
To add about that? I'm just gonna like you were talking about the dressing and deciding what to wear versus how you feel about the music and stuff like that. Sometimes I think with either men or women, it's more just a fashion choice, a fashion dilemma. It doesn't change how you think about the music or how you feel.
The guys in my band worry about what they wear on stage.
Really?
That's what I'll say. Yeah. So it's not. It's not.
You know, and it's just like more like dressing for the occasion too. It's like, is this place more formal or not, or this or that? You know, like
what kind of shoes can I carry?
Right. Is it the army boots or the boots with heels? You know?
I think that a lot of music though, like something that's very closely tied is like fashion and like definitely for me is like music and fashion go together, and it's for me like being in a band it isn't all about the music, it's a lot about the performance and like it's entertainment and it's performance, and like the performance art aspect of it is like just as important as like the notes and like the melodies and everything. So I think like and I guess as a woman I feel more free and like kind of like I have all these opportunities to dress up and like just really like make a statement, and like I like to sew, so I get to make my own costumes, and like that's a really cool part of like being in it. It's like I guess the performance is just as important like as the music, like just to listen to. Yeah.
It's kind of like saying it's someone who doesn't like. You want to make a statement, and then someone who like knocks you out and knocks you, criticize something that's like. I mean, and my first thing to say for you, if someone does this, have a nice time at the bowling alley.
That's cool.
Yeah. One of the things that I have 3 kids. One's almost 13, one's almost 11, and one's 8. And one of the first punk show I went to was at the QVCC with Joe. I took Joe, and it was what was it? Crud. USA is a Monster. Jake was there, and I had heard all about Jake. You know, and I was like, wow, you really are tall. And my son was there, and that's where I met Carolyn. And Carolyn remembers like seeing me and just her jaw dropping to the ground and being like, a mom brought her 10-year-old to a punk show. Because I was just kind of following his lead, actually. I had no agenda for him or anything. So that's really kind of where I actually did that, I think before I actually got on this list, or was the very beginning. So I started going to more shows, and I'm really interested in this dancing thing, this moshing thing. And this thing about, like the last house show I went to, it was right on the edge for me. And I don't know if I should go into the whole long story, but I actually was like trying to tackle this guy that I thought was going to hurt people, you know? And I was like sore the next day, and I'm like, oh, what did that look like? I totally forgot, like, what does that look like, you know? Because then there was this other guy dancing who was right on the edge of my comfort level. He was inside the edge, and so it was totally awesome. But I'm just like, I don't know if it's because I'm a mom. I really don't want... And then I had a discussion with that guy who was right on my edge the other night, and he said, I don't care if I get hurt. I just don't want anybody else to get hurt, which I think is really interesting in terms of like keeping the focus on yourself and people staying out of other people's business. But generally speaking, the cool experience I have had, like overall, and I know there's a lot of different venues and there's a lot of different scenes, and I'm very interested in the fact that Cha Cha got us all together because, like I said, I'm very interested in like at least a crossover, not philosophically, connection-wise, like crossing over in each other's worlds. But no one that I have met, or places that I have gone, which is like kind of slightly far and wide for me, I guess it's all relative, no one has fun at anyone else's expense. Like
you're talking about in any of the places.
In any of the places that I've ever gone, you know, and I'm very led a sheltered life. I have not gone into Boston. I didn't go to like heavy duty punk shows. But this thing about, there's this woman who we used to know, I can't remember her name right now, she moved to California, tall, dark hair, dark skin, I can't remember her name. She would like escort me. I was so afraid to dance because I didn't know how to do that. She would come up from behind me with her arms like this and make me go into the dancing. And I remember just feeling like it was such a gift because I didn't know what it was. I thought you had to like be a certain coolness or have a certain history or know people in a certain way, you know, which is so opposite now I know of like what it really is. And it is true, like women being able to dance in that. And I know we've got other venues that are more, you know, out in the public eye, you know, and that's a little bit different flavor when we play at other places like that. And but I don't really know what else I was going to say because that's cool. Yeah.
Well, here's another interesting thought too. Music is kind of go with what you wear. As musicians like ourselves,
Wait, say that again?
This is us musicians like ourselves, is that you kind of create a whole nother language because it's a whole separate language from everything else. And you talk a different way, and that's where people start seeing all this stuff, blah blah blah. And you hear like people that have work environment talk a certain way, whatever. And it's like musicians have their own kind of their own English dictionary, if you want to go by, and that's how they live a life.
Huh.
It makes a lot more sense than the stuff we say out there. You know, I mean, it's pretty happy to me. You know, what else is there? You know.
Cathy, did you want to reflect on some of that?
Story. I brought my daughter to her first all-ages show at the Lucky Dog, and a friend of mine was standing next to me, this dude from SBGB, Jerry, and all of a sudden there was a little pit going, very small little pit. It was like a weeknight show. And all of a sudden he takes me and he shoves me in, and I was respected in the pit. No one would touch me. It was like a force field around me in the pit. That was almost worse than being thrown to the ground. And my daughter, one of my daughter's friends who was there said to her, "Gee, my mother's home." He says, "Your mother's in the pit and my mother's home sleeping right now." I didn't know if that was a good thing or not.
We have a couple more minutes and we have to wrap up. The last thing I want to ask people to reflect on is where are you going next? You know, what are you creating next?
What's your vision?
Not babies.
Not babies. Okay. Is anybody here creating more babies? I'm always up for discussion.
Amen. We're Toni and I and our friend Patricia are going to attempt to think about having a band that we're going to do a lot of really awesome covers. I'm playing a lot of solo stuff, doing a lot of open mics. Also playing with another friend of ours, doing a lot of harmonizing. I'm very interested in playing with other women with singing and understanding harmony better and like connecting on songs that we share in common.
That's what we're doing too.
But there's a lot of women who are singing. I remember looking at the Worcester magazine, you know, the band thing, when they did the best of with the band thing. I wrote down every woman's name and I looked every woman's band up to see what she was playing and what she was singing, and I was like, it just is cool, I want to know. And it wasn't like, oh, what's other people doing? Like, how do I need to poise myself? It's like, no. Like, I'm so excited that some women won Best Voice, Best Vocalist, and I was just really excited.
And then Yukiko, not to put you on blast, but you guys have won like fairly major awards recently, right? Like, I'm wondering, like, look at guys, you know.
Well, Tokyo Drums has been playing in Worcester since last March or April, so it's been 1 year. And well, now
what are you creating next?
Next, we're gonna play show more in Worcester.
Awesome.
We love it. You know, in Boston, nobody cares about the live music, but in here, you know, people love us.
That's crazy.
And dance to our music. So this is a very good city, you know, for the future of music. So that's my opinion. But I love to keep playing music in Worcester.
And then, Lysie, you were talking about how you've done like 10 years with the Numbskulls, and now you're kind of like creating that next thing. Can you give us like a flavor of what that might look like for you in the Numbskulls? Or
can I give you a flavor of what it might look like?
Strawberry banana.
I don't know. We're recording new songs. We're writing new songs. Like I said, my bass playing has been like I've been trying, you know, like actually trying to like be better instead of just going along with everybody and trying to write like new stuff. And so it's new for me. I mean, I should have been doing this probably like when I started, right? But so that's what we're doing. I don't know. It's kind of challenging everybody to like, let's write outside of punk. Why are we sounding like this? Why don't we sound like what we want to sound like? You know what I mean? And getting them to like I said, singing, trying to get my voice in there because there's two guys singing. And they yell, and I can't yell. So I'm trying really hard to like get my voice in there somehow because I want to. It's my band. I might as well try it, right?
That's awesome.
So that's where we're at, I guess.
That's awesome. We probably have time for one more person to share and reflect, right? You guys are starting a new band, right?
Yeah, we're gonna start this. The Fravs. And I think when we started, the goal was like, I mean, we haven't. You're in a band with a bunch of ladies. But I haven't been in a band with other girls, and
I've never been in a band with a girl ever.
So we were really interested in like working on vocals and like harmonies and melodies, and
learning
also
to sing like a girl.
Yeah, learning to sing, like just like or I don't know, just working on like super pop sort of instead of like. I guess we're still gonna be punks anyway, but we're gonna try to write super pop, and we have like a couple other people in the band too. It's not just us, but
it's mostly us.
Awesome. Anybody here have something quick to say? What's next, Cathy?
Not what's next, but I just noticed that Boston scene as opposed to Worcester scene. I just noticed that the bands tend to network and not be as uptight. Cutthroat, like competition in a negative sense, stuff like that. More working together, and that's the one thing that I was always kind of I've seen be a part of the Worcester scene.
I think that's super important.
No, everyone's so nice here. I love it.
I'm gonna actually wrap it up by saying what I'm trying to create. This is like the first in a series of things I'm hoping to do to bring women musicians together in Worcester, and so I'm hoping to create more of this community, and I'm hoping that now that we see each other's faces, we'll support each other's shows and support each other's music, because I know that I have a hell of a time going to see everybody here, and that's what I'm hoping to create next. And this has been something like the women in Worcester music that's kind of vaguely punk rock, maybe, here in Worcester, Massachusetts, and that's what we're creating. Thank you very much, Bruce. Thank you, Mike Benedetti.
Thanks for being on the show.
Once upon a darkness that lasts forever, here comes a man named the Snow Ghost to shine some light in your day. The flame he brings never goes out, the light so bright shines on forever. He brings the true and pure souls to you from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain. Ooh, ooh, from the Silver Mountain.